All right, Billy, we are on the air. I'm Jason, and with me is Billy. Say hi, Billy.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about games for the next hour or so. So let's kick it off. Billy, what have you been playing?
Actually, I played a couple of things. I played, well, Witcher. Obviously, I'm still trudging through that. Been having a lot of fun with that. It's kind of nice having a game that doesn't just put, like when you do a quest, is like go figure it out, find this riddle and stuff like that.
Right.
There's no waypoints or anything. So that was pretty exciting. Um, I played a little bit of the Dark mod. I heard you no longer need Doom 3 for that, and I have misplaced my Doom 3 discs, which is fantastic. So now I can play that without needing those. Um, Holy crap, were video games really hard back then, and did they not tell you anything?
Yep.
Just going through the tutorial was kind of refreshing to sit there and be like, get this little vase off the top of this thing and pick up these rocks and throw them. It's like, oh, each rock is heavier than the other, and judging trajectory without some sort of arrow or indicator was actually really nice.
Oh, nice.
Like, there was no hand holding in there at all. Like, it was constantly pausing. Like, "Oh, what are the key bindings for this?" Like, I don't remember any of this. They're like, there's this one little puzzle that's in the tutorial where they have like a candle, and you can pick up objects in there and rotate them and all this other stuff, and you have to kind of get it through this little maze
Mm-hmm.
by picking it up. And halfway through, they're like, "Oh yeah, rotate the candle sideways," and I'm like, I don't even know what the keys are for this. Usually they'll tell you like press left
Right.
and right to rotate when you need to in any sort of modern game. And yeah, they did not do that at all.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into some of those missions. Um, But yeah, I only went through the tutorial on that so far. That and went to a bachelor party on Saturday and
Who's getting
played
married?
Grand Theft Auto 5 for probably 12 hours straight online.
Was that Kurt's fucking bachelor party?
Yeah, it was an absolute blast. I have not had that much fun at a LAN in a long time.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pure
I've
insanity.
I haven't been to a LAN or like even just to go play games at somebody's house in freaking probably 7 years.
I know the internet kind of has destroyed that, like
Yeah.
completely. I
Dude,
mean,
remember at school we used to freaking LAN join ops and stuff?
yep. Oh man, Joint Ops, that's another good game.
Game was great.
Yeah, we've got actually uh, Eric had a LAN at his house a few months ago, and he's gonna have another one in November. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we'll probably just play Battlefield 4 the entire time.
Right on.
But yeah, I don't know. Grand Theft Auto 5 online is actually like it's super cool, but it's also kind of not at the same time. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like my favorite part in there was the free roam mode. It's essentially like they give you the entire city as like a multiplayer lobby,
Oh
and
wow.
then throughout the city is all the different types of game modes and stuff are little icons on the map, and you can go there with your friends and kind of play those different game modes. Um, and then afterwards, they'll dump you back into a new city, that was kind of agitating. I wish it like we didn't want to play with anyone else; we just wanted to play with ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, but like some of the most fun we had was just messing around in the open world. Like so they allow you to stick up gas stations. Like you can go to a gas station and just like point a gun and yell in your microphone, and they'll like make the guy hurry up. And the second you do that, it's like 2-star rating immediately. And so what we would do is we get like the three of us or four of us, and we'd have like two guys go out on lookout, one guy in the car, and then we do like a stick up, and then like get in the car and try to get out of there. And like very rarely did we ever get away from the cops. I don't know what they did in multiplayer, but they made the cops like impossible. But then after a while, it's like you couldn't do anything more. We were hoping that like by hitting all the convenience stores, we could like, oh well, now you can go do banks or something bigger. I don't know if they'll add that later on, but like that was the most fun was doing that, and then trying to steal jets out of the military base, which was also pretty great.
I heard actually that there's supposed to be well that they might add heists like bank heists later.
Yeah, they're going to. They said.
So that. That should be entertaining. Which would then would that make it like Payday 2 at that point?
I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like to me, I think the best way for them to do heists would be to do them as just part of the open world. You
Hmm.
know, like the lobby system, just like let you and some buddies just kind of like case whatever you want and try to get in and out and let the fire and just let the chaos happen.
Hmm.
Um, because one of the best parts in Red Dead, because Red Dead had a similar multiplayer system, was when one group of guys would be off doing something. They'd be like traveling to a mission, and then we would just go and then gun them all down, and then it would just turn into this huge like gang war in the middle of the desert, and like that's always kind of fantastic, and the sandbox really the sandbox really allows you to do all kinds of really interesting things and allows the player to kind of like I don't know do kind of crazy stuff that's super inventive. So
Hmm.
like we wanted to get the fighter jets out of the military base. In the multiplayer, the airport and the military base are blocked off. Like you can't drive into them. The only way to get into them is by flying in. So we figured out where to get helicopters. So we got like 5 helicopters. So there's like 5 of us in helicopters, 2 guys like in riding in them, and we flew over the base. So we got all these helicopters, and we figured out like until you fly real low, they won't detect you and try to shoot you down. So we're essentially doing joint op style combat drops into this thing. The second you land, it's 5 stars. They got tanks rolling out, and it's just like a mad sprint, like 5 dudes mad sprinting to fighter jets. And then like one guy gets up into the air and he gets shot down, and gets destroyed. And then the rest of us die, and then we all spawn in like this crappy swamp area. It's like a 20-minute walk to the nearest road until about 4 hours in, we figured out you can call a cab from there, and they'll just come pick you up, which is great. But it's like that was so much fun. It's like us, all getting together, finding the planes and helicopters. The chaos just in that alone was nuts. Like trying to get someone to not shoot you or crash a helicopter or plane into
Right,
you.
right.
And then trying to figure out how to get into the military base and get the jets out of there. Like that was an absolute blast.
That's great.
So I really hope that that's where the heists are, because that sort of just chaos and being able to just do stuff is a lot of fun. Like it's kind of sort of like we just created our own missions.
Right. That always makes it more fun. What else you been playing?
That's really about it. I mean, I just got literally today, just got the beta for Hearthstone, so I'm super excited to play that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that next week.
Yeah, I mean, I used to play so I played I like collectible card games. Um, I think they're financially irresponsible, so I stopped doing them.
Yes.
Magic the Gathering can get insane, so
Bankrupt. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and all the other card games I've seen so far, like I don't know if it's just the production quality or what it is with Hearthstone, but like, man, does it look? I mean, it looks great. Everything from opening the cards to I've watched a lot of Let's Plays and stuff.
Yeah,
It's just like,
I did see that, and that was like I wanted to play it. Like I'm pretty snobbish and like, oh, it's just a card game, but they did a quick look on Giant Bomb or something, and I watched like them open a new deck, and I'm like, I want to open decks all day. Like that's all I want to do right now.
I know, right? Isn't that like the greatest animation and sounds ever?
Yes.
And it's so dumb. It's like you're
Yeah.
opening a pack of cards.
I played around in the Steam trading card stuff for a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I sold all of the spare ones I got from the summer sale, and it got me like almost $2.
Oh, nice.
I needed like 3 or 4 cards to finish out one set of the Half-Life 2 cards. So I was like, whatever. So I bought like 2 or 3 of them at 20 or 15 to 20 cents a piece. And that was pretty rewarding to watch that happen, but it was no Hearthstone, that's for sure. I can definitely see how and why people can really get into that, because it's like like I was like, oh, I want to buy more cards, and I want to, see what else I can get, and I'm like, whoa, no, 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 no way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to play it. A guy at work's gonna. I hope he got in the beta because he's been dying to play it, and I'll feel really bad if I got it and he didn't.
Yeah,
'Cause
my
he tried to get into like everything.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get into that at some point, but we'll see. I got into the Dota 2 beta like 3 days before it went commercial, so
Ooh.
that was great. I didn't even have a chance to install it.
So what have you been playing?
Oh goodness, where to start? I am since the end of my Torchlight 2 addiction, which I still find myself wanting to reinstall and play it. I've spent a bit of time with Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition.
Nice.
I guess I'll start with that. And it definitely is playable on modern systems. You don't have to go through the huge, like, you need a widescreen fix and a bug fix and all these mods and all this other stuff. So it's really nice that it installs and from the get-go. I had some issues because I have a frame rate on screen display thing, and that was hosing everything for some reason.
Oh, wow.
So I had to get to the bottom of that, and once I sorted that out, it plays real nice. The interface is still kind of not great, but it is very usable. They have like everything on the side. It's really easy to get to. They have a quick save button that's like right there, which is completely awesome. So you should just quick save every like 4 minutes in those games.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of you're just wandering around in the woods, and all of a sudden you come upon a black bear that just absolutely massacres your team. And if you haven't saved recently, you're boned. You're out. However much time it is. But they added some new characters, and the game is still fun. I blew through it once in its original form. A couple years ago now, 3 or 4 years. And I enjoyed it then, and I enjoyed it now. The music is still really great, and the characters are cool, and it's looks better. It looks more like Baldur's Gate 2. It's kind of on that visual standard.
Okay.
And actually, the enhanced of Baldur's Gate 2 is coming out in about a month, so I'm pretty excited about that too, to see how that turns out. And I also hear Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition is really good on the iPad. I'm kind of intrigued to see how that plays on an iPad. But from what I've read, a lot of people are pretty impressed with it.
Huh. Maybe I should try that out sometime.
Yeah, so I spent some time with that. I played a little Counter-Strike Global Offensive because I wanted to get a crate or a gun or something. But I feel like everybody cheats. Like, I played this one map, and literally every single time I died, I got a headshot. So I don't know if it's just really easy to get headshots in that game, but it was. I forgot how terrible I was at Counter-Strike.
Oh man, I loaded that up. So the last LAN I went to, we all wanted to play Counter-Strike, and I was like, well, I'll just buy the whole pack because they wanted to play 1.6, or no, they wanted to play Source, and I'm like, well, I will install it for this, and then I will not ever play it again. And so I played Go for a little bit, and I don't know if I was cheating, but I just felt like a god in that game. I was just like unstoppable.
Wow, like, really? God, maybe I'm just really terrible at Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, but I mean, it's Counter-Strike, right? Like, I always have gone into servers where it's like, oh, okay, that's impossible, so I guess I'll just not be here.
Right.
One thing, does Go have all the weird? Because one thing I like is when we were playing Source is all like the weird stuff.
What do you mean?
Like the weird maps where it's like you're gonna just spawn in a circle playing gun game, and you're gonna just be looking directly at each other, and it's like essentially shoot and then respawn immediately.
No. Go is pretty competitive based. Like they're trying to make it pretty serious. And then they have a system very similar to Dota 2 with item drops after matches and crates and things like that. So not at least not that I've experienced. I haven't experienced anything wacky, so I can't say yes or no either way. But oh god, I just remember that standoff we tried to do right after they patched the guns on your back, and Tom showed up with a freaking machine gun on his back.
And then tried to argue with us that he didn't have one.
Yeah, he's like, no, I don't. We're like, oh, we can see it. And then he started killing us all. So that was, spent a little bit of time with that. I've been messing around in Borderlands 2. There's a big community thing going on where you, like, get a target every day, and then you... I think I messed that up today, but you get a target to kill, and then you get entered into a contest to win $5,000 or $50,000, and there's community challenges and stuff. It's called like the Great Loot Hunt or something like that. So I've been doing that the last few days, just kind of logging in, killing the boss that it wants me to, and because it's going in like chronological order, like you kill like the first boss, and then you kill, Tuesday was the second boss, and today was Captain Flint. So they're just kind of going down the line. So I forgot how much I enjoyed Borderlands 2, and playing it these last few days kind of reminded me of how enjoyable I find that game.
I have yet to play 2.
It's the first act is a little quirky because it is just like Claptrap is completely outrageously hilarious. So like it's not serious, but in a good way, not serious. But eventually, like, it just kind of drains on you. You're like, yeah, like, this is just a joke. But then eventually you get to kind of Sanctuary, which is like the main hub world area, and then it kind of gets a little more serious at that point. And the main bad guy has a diamond horse named Butt Stallion, and that will make me laugh forever.
Yeah, that's the thing with that game, right? Like the humor, right? That's like,
yeah.
I mean,
like like in Borderlands 1 had some of that, but like Borderlands 2 is just over the top with it.
Yeah.
Almost to the point of being obnoxious, but then kind of as I was poking around Sanctuary, they kind of reined it in a little bit, which was nice. And then I spent a lot of time yesterday playing Transformers War for Cybertron. I've got through about half of that, which is essentially the entirety of the Decepticon campaign. And that game's a few years old now, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, there's 2 of those, right?
Yeah, I know there's one more recent than that. What do we got here? Yeah, 2010. So this game's it's good. Like, it's a fun Transformers game. Like, the transforming mechanic is fun. It's animated really well. Like, the animating is incredible in that game. Kudos to High Moon for hitting that out of the park. The voice acting is really good. I haven't gotten to Optimus Prime yet, but like Megatron's voice actor fits really well, and just it's a beautiful game for 2010, and it's really fun.
Yeah, every time I watch a Transformers movie, I was like, man, I should get that game because it looks really well done, and it looks super polished, and it looks awesome. And then that lasts for about 2 minutes, and then I realized I don't really like Transformers.
Yeah, I was a bit. I bought it on the summer sale. I don't remember how much it was, but it was pretty cheap. So decided to give it a go, and I'm pretty impressed. I'm looking forward to ripping through the last half of it. And the robots all look cool. Like, all the designs are really. They had a Mega Supreme, which knocked my socks off. I couldn't believe they had a Mega Supreme, but he looked really good. Like, it was really good.
I remember seeing the second one there. What's the Dinobot, the T-Rex?
Grimlock.
Yeah, and that looked awesome.
Yeah, Grimlock became super popular kind of in this new wave a few years ago. It started with the new comics and stuff. They like they turned Grimlock into like just a warrior from Cybertron, and he became like super popular. Like he was always really popular, but now he's popular in like a different sense. It's really bizarre, but
He's a
so yeah.
dinosaur. That's a robot.
Well, he was a dinosaur because of the cartoon. He's not like a dinosaur. Well, I guess he is now, but he's gone through a few iterations. But I'm not going to get into the nerdy lore of it all. But he was a dinosaur because they found dinosaurs and decided to make robots out of them. And now he's supposed to be like an ancient, as old as the rest of the Autobots. Whereas in the cartoon, they built them when they were on Earth and blah blah.
You know what someone needs? Speaking of old cartoons, quick tangent. You know what they need to make? They need to make a Dino Riders game.
Dino Riders, yes. I had one of those toys, actually. They're... Oh, God. Did you ever have the toys that had, like, a little hologram on their chest?
I had the one... what
the hell was that
the
called?
evil dude in Ghostbusters 1.
What?
The evil dude in Ghostbusters 1, he had a thing on a hologram on his chest.
No, it was like a whole... series. Oh, God, I can't remember the name of it now. Shucks. Ah, well. Anyway.
You see that picture I sent you? Does that not... Could you... That running in the Battlefield 4 engine...
Where am I seeing that?
Sent it to you in the Hangouts.
How do I get there? In group chat?
No.
Oh, nope. Here it is. I'm dumb. Yeah, I don't know how this isn't a game yet.
Me neither. I bring this up almost every year. I go, how is this not a video game? This needs to happen.
Where did you find this? Oh.
Dude, it's the first thing that shows up when you type in Dino Riders.
It's freaking hilarious. Yeah, see the little raptor dude coming up the hill there? Freaking, yeah. I had that toy.
Oh, nice.
But yeah.
I mean, come on, a Stegosaurus that has 6 autocannons on it and 2 pods for 2 soldiers. Like, how is that not like the greatest thing ever?
Oh God, you're right. Why? Let's get on that pronto. Oh man, that's amazing. I'm glad we went on that tangent.
Someone should kickstart that.
Yeah, what are they waiting for? So those are the games I'm having a hard time committing. Oh, well, and I guess I played some Skyrim as well. I'm having a hard time buckling down on one. For some reason, Torchlight 2 had me in its clutches, and I haven't been able to sink into another game since I was done with that one. But I mean, I plugged in. I bought Alan Wake on that weekly deal 4 months ago.
Oh, that's a good game.
And I finally plugged that into Steam, and I'd really like to get that done. And I should finish Darksiders 2, which I really, if you can get that on the cheap, I don't know, you have it already, don't you?
Well, I have the gift for the Darksiders 2 pack sitting in my inventory. I've yet to cash it in.
Well, when you get a chance, man, that is a different in all the right ways from Darksiders 1.
I really like Darksiders 1. I thought that game was fantastic. I'm glad that the guys got picked up by Crytek essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I'm interested to see what happens with the Darksiders franchise. I thought 1 was amazing. I was super pumped for 2. I just slipped past. It was one of those games where I was like, well, I'm only going to be able to play one game in the next 2 months because of work or whatever. Which one am I going to buy?
Yeah.
And yeah, I do want to go back and play it. It is in my backlog of games that I must play.
At least in my Steam collection, I'm actually over the hump. I have more games completed than games that I need to complete. So.
Oh, nice.
Getting there. But the problem is like deciding like any of these games that I have left are going to be a considerable investment. Like 20, 30 hours, and it's just hard to like even freaking Heretic. Like I put like 7 hours into that game one week, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm not done with this game yet. I'm like, I'm not even half done. So it's hard. That's kind of why I want to chug through Transformers, because I'm about 8 hours in, I'm about half done. So, I figure I can get that done. I really should finish The Walking Dead at some point too, but.
Yeah. Well, sometimes like I'm playing Witcher 2 now. I was thinking about doing Dark Souls next, but sometimes I just want that. Give me this super linear.
Yep.
I don't want to walk all over the place. Just let me get through it and play it. I mean,
Max Payne 3 is good for that. If you want to just walk in a straight line and get the game done, Max Payne 3 was like a breath of not fresh air that was really great.
I loved Max Payne 3.
Oh god, that game was so great. Actually, speaking of Dark Souls, I would like to talk about Dark Souls for a little bit. I decided to play that. Maybe it's because I'm really terrible at it, but not great. Like, it is not fun to fight things in that game. I'm not sure. Like, I would like to see if we could co-op that at some point, because, like, I walked into this because I made it through the prologue, and now I'm in kind of the game really opens up. Like, there's like 4 different paths that you can take.
Oh yeah, it gets worse, I hear.
Yeah, right after you get done with that asylum place, and I walked over to this graveyard, and like 13 skeletons all popped up, and it was miserable. So I'm not sure if I'm just going about it the wrong way, or if I just am really terrible at it, or if there's just some key thing that I'm missing. Because I knew going into it that it wasn't just going to be a hack and slash and you're done. Like, I understood that, but in terms of it is clearly not a good game to play in the mindset of I want to just get through this.
Oh no, that's why I bought it, I installed it, I've yet to start it because I think my next game is I just want to go and just get through it, and that is a game where it's like, I mean, we have guys at the work that I work with who bought it the day it came out, and they're still playing it and still finding like new stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, just fighting shit was not enjoyable.
Well, it's all like, it's all animation based, right? It's all about you. To my understanding, now I'm watching the Giant Bomb load our Dark Souls or load or save.
Oh yeah, I wish that almost makes me want to subscribe, but
it's pretty great watching those guys play it. But they maybe get in the 1 hour to 2 hours that video is. They maybe get like, I don't know, 30 minutes of gameplay done. Because it's just them dying and like figuring out what the strategy is or how to tackle the situation. And he's even got 2 guys, like Vinny's playing, and then Matt Rory, and then I forget the other guy who's with him. They're pretty well versed in Dark Souls. Like, they know where he is and all that stuff, so they're explaining stuff to him. And it's like, I just watch that and it's like, yes, I am excited for sort of this harder game to play, but I need to be ready to play that.
Yeah, I put 3 hours, about 3 hours into it this weekend, and it was oof.
Are you playing with a gamepad or keyboard and mouse?
Controller, yes.
Okay.
With the 360 controller. That was not. I think I'm just bitter right now because it made me feel like I suck at playing games, and I know I don't actually suck at playing games.
No, you just suck at playing Dark Souls, just like everyone else.
Just like everyone else. Yeah, there's a zillion games on this list that I need to get through yet, but I would really like to play through The Witcher 1 again before I play Witcher 2, because it carries over your decisions from the first one. So if like you save the princess, there's different, dialogue and stuff like that, and I have long since lost my saves from that game, but I'm not sure if I have the 50 hours to put into it to get it done again.
Yeah, I mean, Witcher 2 is fantastic.
Yeah, I really need to hit that pretty hard.
Like, I'm loving that game right now.
Thoughts on Fables? Are you gonna get it?
Yeah, I think so. The bit of the Bombing in the AM that I caught, they really liked it. They said Fables does one thing that at least they say it does it. I don't know yet. I haven't played it, but they say that it actually time matters. So if you're like, let's say the game, I don't know, the scenario they gave is like, you have to either do option A or option B, and you could kind of just mess around and either not get to either of them, or if you do one, something horrible will happen to the other one, and it's like, there's like, all things are continually happening regardless of what's going on with you. I don't know if that's true for the entire thing, or if it's just in these certain mission or quest type specific things. But like that always fascinated me. Like when Dead Rising first did that, like just had that timeline. You saw all this stuff ticking down, and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And I don't like games don't do that enough, and knowing that kind of got me really excited to play that because. In no video game have I ever felt a sense of urgency, ever. Like
don't they do that in Walking Dead though? I haven't played Walking Dead in like 8 months.
So what they did is an Alpha Protocol did this, and I thought this was fantastic. Is they actually timed down your decisions, so you couldn't sit there and hem and haw about what you were going to select. It was just this thing's ticking down. You need to make a selection, or and sometimes you don't even know yet. You're like, oh, and that kind of gave you that urgency to I need to commit to something, or go silent. Apparently, you can play through almost all of Walking Dead by not saying anything. I kind of want to look up the YouTube videos of
how that plays out.
But it's like I would like that in more games where it's like time matters. Like there's a reason to kind of get stuff going because it's like. Even in Bioshock Infinite, which is a fantastic game, but it's like, oh, go save Elizabeth. No, I'm going to go look at this building for the next 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. But, like, how fun would Skyrim be if you couldn't just be like, yeah, I'm going to go all for 3.5 hours?
Oh, no, I know that. I mean, it's not for everyone, right? Like, but... It would be interesting to play a game where it's like, all right, let's say you have a month of in-game time, like 30 days. Take Skyrim, for example. 30 days to do this before the World Eater, whatever his name, shows up and destroys everything. You choose how you want to spend those 30 days. And then at 30 days, it happens or it doesn't, and it's like, well, I'm going to go and do whatever, and like, even like stuff where it's like you need to do this before midnight, which is one thing. Like Witcher 2 does that, but then they don't really like care if it's in the same day. They're just like, oh, be here at midnight, and then like 2 days go by, and then it's like, all right, I'm here at midnight.
I mean, yeah, I can see it having its place, but at the same time, I can see it being irritating. Case in point, Baldur's Gate does something kind of similar. Like you'll get a quest from a guy, and he'll be like, "We need to find the son of this nobleman whose caravan got lost in these woods." And like I got a phone call, and I didn't pause the game or anything, and I just left it sit there. And then I came back and was putzing around, finishing up whatever I was finishing up, and then all of a sudden I changed zones to go look for the kid. And the dwarf guy, this guy who gave me this quest, is like, nah, forget it. There's no way we'll find him. You might, I'll just hang out with you guys. And like the quest like disappears, and like you can't do it. And I was like, shit. Like I get where that is nice, but at the same time, like I wanted to do that quest, and so now that damn game has caused me more time.
Well, don't answer your phone while you're playing Baldur's Gate.
Oh, clearly. Gotta disconnect. Yeah, Baldur's Gate has no time for my phone calls.
But yeah, back to Fables. I'm really excited to play it. I'm gonna get it. I know my fiance really liked Walking Dead. Like, had an absolute blast watching me play that. So,
Great.
um, and I'm sure she'll be really excited because she sort of likes that. She was reading
Yeah,
the
she was into something like that, wasn't she?
yeah,
Something
it
kind of
was like
similar.
Alice in Wonderland sort of fairy tales comic book series
Yeah.
that she was into and really liked that stuff. So I think this would be right up her alley. So, and my buddy worked on it. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
was just gonna ask you. You still talk to Jason?
yep, yeah. I talk to him every once in a while, and
Right on.
so I gotta get that and then be like, all right, what part did you make?
Yeah, I gotta I want to get it and shoot a few words over to him as well. Uh, yeah. So those are kind of the what we got going on. Actually, I watched the Bombing in the AM from last Friday, and they mentioned Enslaved: Odyssey to the West.
Oh yeah.
And I've been hearing a lot of good things about this game, like recently, like in the last like month. I've heard a number of people say that it was underappreciated.
Well, yeah, it's because it's coming to the PC now, so I think that's why everyone's talking about it again.
So I mean, I am intrigued by what I've heard people say enough to the point where if it was on a Steam sale or something, that I would definitely pick it up.
Um, I really liked what I played. I played probably a good couple hours of that. A friend of mine lent it to me. Um, holy crap, facial animations in that game are fantastic.
Oh wow, nice.
And the only thing I didn't like was the combat, but I don't know if I played enough to appreciate it, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I mean,
Yeah,
I only put maybe 3 hours into it, and I was like, it was kind of it's almost like how in Batman Arkham Asylum, he kind of jumps across the entire arena to go punch a guy in the face and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, they kind of did some stuff like that, and but man, it's a gorgeous game. The animations are fantastic. I hear the story is amazing. I'm kind of bummed I didn't finish it, so maybe I'll pick it up now that it's coming out on PC.
I'm hearing a lot of good things about it. I think that is it. Uh, Neither of us said we had much in terms of news, so I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on that.
Oh, did
Uh,
we talk about the Steam controller last week?
yes, I was very slacking in my efforts to get our previous podcast into audio form, but I'm pretty sure we did. I don't remember now, but I feel like I don't remember. Do you have something you want to say about it?
Oh no, I was just wondering if we actually did.
Oh yeah, when I get it sorted out, I'll go through and we can.
Actually, I don't think we did because I sent you the video on the 11th.
Yeah, I watched that video and I was not. I did not like it. Did not like it one bit.
I'm interested. I want to try it.
Yeah, well, of course I want to try it. I'm not going to write it off instantly, but just watching that, it doesn't. It was too much of that, like when you're using your mouse and it's gone too far and you have to bring it back.
Yeah.
Like that happened a lot with that guy's thumbs, and I would much rather just have a stick that I don't know, maybe I'm old fashioned, but I
Well,
did not care for the way it looked to use it.
I thought Valve specifically came out and said, "Oh, this could be your only controller, but it shouldn't. It doesn't have to be because
Right.
they said like you might want to use this for like an RTS or like Civilization or a game that because it's gonna auto map keyboard controls right to it,
Sure.
you know. But you still, I mean, are you gonna want to play Sleeping Dogs on it or
Right.
Max Payne? Well, not play Max Payne 3 with a keyboard and mouse, but another game that you're gonna play with a gamepad. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there was just given that it probably the more that I sit and actually think critically about it, it probably will have settings for like pressure. So like if you're like you won't have to like if you just kind of move your thumbs in the direction, it might send your guy that way without having to do that. Oh, I want to turn, and now I'm turned too far, and I have to like go back to the middle of the mouse button or the pad thing, and then
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it just did not flip my switch right off the bat. But I did read some specs about the Steam box, and they said some of them are going to have like Titans and 790s and 780s, and some of the Steam box test kits that are going out are pretty damn robust.
Well, I mean, did you see the PC specs for Watch Dogs?
No, I did not.
They're pretty intense. It's either, I don't know, like, it's like, does it really, I mean, does that game have to be that intense, or are they just going crazy? Because it's like, my current computer is better than the Xbox One and PS4, you know, but, you know, they can build specifically for that. It doesn't have to run anything else, you know.
Right.
But like Watch Dogs, like their medium specs or whatever, like it doesn't quite register their medium, and I'm like, oh, jeez.
Dang. No interest in that game at all from my end. I have zero
Yeah, I've completely lost
zero
interest in that game.
desire to have anything to do with that game.
Oh, I do have some news.
Oh, let's do it.
It's a Kickstarter. Have you seen the Cast AR?
I have not.
So this is another sort of like, you can say this is another take on how you would do virtual reality, sort of like Oculus Rift. Except for what it does is it actually mounts two projectors. So you wear a pair of glasses. You wear a mini projector on the left and right glass, and then it actually displays out in front of you. So it's actually projecting light out in front of you to create this AR environment.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty neat. Apparently, this is what they were working at Valve, and they let the lady keep it after they let her go. Or I think that's the story. I don't know. Some guy at work was telling it to me. It looks very interesting. One thing that I thought was really cool is outside of the video game realm, like I really like playing board games. Except I hate having all the pieces all over the place. But they have this little wand and an RFID mat where you could have a pair of glasses, I could have a pair of glasses. I can't see what you're projecting because the way the glasses are polarized, but we could still have shared projecting.
Like I could see your pieces on the board?
Well, that's the thing. That would be like a shared thing, you know? But like in theory, you could play like a game of cards, right, and each have your hand out, but you wouldn't be able to see each other's hands until they go to a certain part or whatever. But like, it looks pretty neat, but I don't know. It's kind of weird because like, who's gonna have a giant room? Like they they go in a room and they're playing War Thunder and it's all wrapped around and they're looking around the plane and doing all this stuff, and I'm like, that is cool, but who's got space like that?
Yeah. I don't know, man. The Oculus Rift seems to be getting a fair amount of traction these days, but that whole, I don't know, I feel like that's almost too plugged in. Someday I would like to mess around with an Oculus Rift, but I don't know about all this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for board games, I really thought if this was just a pair of glasses that you could each put on, and some board game supported it,
right? I'd be down with that, I guess.
You could just play and not have all these pieces. And I like the idea that, so here's one of my issues with the Oculus Rift. Never have using one. So I'm just going to get that out there. But just me as a person who's seeing it and going, oh, okay. I remember it was a documentary I watched where some guy said we essentially became, is it nearsighted? Where you can't see far away?
Yes.
Said we as humans have essentially become nearsighted because we decided to build walls around us, right? So we're constantly in rooms and tiny little enclosed spaces, so now we're nearsighted, right? And that's why they say you should always look out every 30 minutes, look out as far as you possibly can in the distance to just kind of help your eyes.
Yeah.
You know? So now we're going to take basically cell phone screens and put them right here. You know, like, and it's like your eye isn't sensing depth, right? It just realizes there's a screen there. You can't look at this, like, I can't look at a picture of the sky in my monitor and be like, oh, my eye is getting
I'm
faked out.
farsighted.
Yeah, you know? So it's like, all I can think of is like a year from the Oculus Rift coming out, some study coming out that like thousands of kids have severe nearsightedness. It's horrible to laugh at, but it's like, is that could be true?
I agree. Like like it's a wonderful piece of technology, and but that's just too plugged in for me. There's not enough disconnect. You know, like when I'm playing games, I look out my window all the time. Like, I mean, there's a building across the road, so all I'm looking at is another brick factory building that's now has people living in it. But it's just like I can't imagine not having that. Oh, it's a loading screen. I'm gonna look over here for a few seconds and just not be staring at my screen. It'd be a wonderful piece of technology. And one of the things from the Bombing in the AM was they said that if frictional games had said that if they have the time, they're going to try to do some like standalone Oculus Rift things that kind of deal with this Soma game that they're doing. So I'd be intrigued to see what they come up with. You know, given that they like to scare the bejesus out of people.
Oh, jeez, yeah. I mean, that'd be
Oculus Rift. I imagine it'd be pretty damn awesome.
I know Patrick has been doing Oculus Rift horror games now that he has one.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
You checked any of that out?
I have not watched... I watched part of one. And, man, I don't... Like, I want an Oculus Rift. I want to play some games with Oculus Rift. I don't know if I could do a horror game with Oculus Rift on. Call me a big wussy, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Did you ever beat Amnesia?
Nope. I played it for probably, I think I logged a good 2 hours into it, and then I got kind of to one point where one night my like nerves were just fried. I'm like, all right, I'm not doing this, and then I just never went back to it. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to explain it, but like I put about 6 or 8 hours into it over the course of like a week, and it got to the point where I don't want to say it ceased to be scary, but there were just my instincts were saying, okay, it's going to happen soon. Like they're like, just given the pacing of what this game has been so far, there's going to be a monster around me very, very soon. And I wasn't wrong very often. Like, although one time there was someone watching me play, and I opened the door, and there it was a monster, boom, right there. And I just yelled, nope, slammed the door shut, and ran the other way. So they got me, like I was like, ooh, one's coming, I know it, but I didn't expect it to be right on the other side of that door. And just nope, just turned and sprinted down the hallway. I was having none of that.
So have you seen? It's an Oculus Rift game. I think it's called like the Dark Tunnels or whatever.
I have not. I know Patrick has been tearing through them lately, but I have not. Like I would like to watch him play them as opposed to just some joker on YouTube. So I haven't been.
Yeah, I was watching some guy on YouTube play it, and all I could think of is like, because you know how everyone's doing, and they talked about this in the morning show too. Everyone's doing the second screen gaming, let's have an iPad and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, man, imagine an Oculus Rift game, and just take this Dark Tunnels game. Imagine that game, but they have a game where they have a little map that you can pull up, and it shows you like where you are and what's kind of around you. But imagine if someone else had the map. You remember in Harry Potter where he's got the map and you see all the footsteps?
Yeah.
All over the place? Imagine if you were playing that game and then someone else sitting next to you had like an iPad and they could see like the footsteps of the monsters and you and stuff like that, and they're trying to give you directions.
Oh, shit.
Like, because like
that was great.
As they were talking about the second screen gaming, I was like, man, what is it? Like they're doing kind of neat things with the second screen, but like, where's one where you could both play a game sitting in a room and it's asynchronous information, right? You have a part here, and then the other person has a part here, and you have to communicate to like get that stuff done. You know, like imagine a bomb defusal game where like you're like Surgeon Simulator or whatever, but you're
Yeah.
defusing a bomb, and the other person has the instructions on the iPad, and they're like paging through.
That would be great, particularly if you could have the output like to a television, or well, at least just to see the hilarity of it. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess that would lose some of it if you had the map and we're watching the person like, no, 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 you do this, you got to go.
Oh no, yeah, you can't see that. You know, you just have the map, and that's it.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I like that idea a lot. Very cool. All right. Anything else we want to talk about before we move on to Kickstarter? We got about 15 minutes or so.
No, I think that's all I have for news.
All right. So let's talk about Kickstarter. There was kind of what made me want to talk about this is there was that project by a really famous science fiction author. I forget his name now, but he had raised money to make a sword fighting game, like a very authentic sword fighting game. And Neil Stevenson is the guy's name. And he wanted to make a super high fidelity, true life sword fighting game, and they ran out of money, or the technology isn't there, or whatever the case may be. And he essentially told his backers, like, "Hey, this is on pause. We're not doing anything with this for a long time, for the foreseeable future." And people are pissed off, and I think that's a very understandable reaction when you give a guy. Some people probably gave him $1,000, like they're really into this, but
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about using Kickstarter, and kind of what do you think the responses should be when all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, I mismanaged the money you folks gave me, and bummer." Kind of what are your thoughts on that?
Well, me personally, if I give a guy 50, $100 or whatever, I know, being in the game industry and working on games, where I know video games are insanely hard work. They're very hard to do. Anytime a game even ships is amazing. Like, it is just, there's a ton of work, a ton of people, a lot of cooks in the kitchen, all this other stuff. So it's very impressive that they do stuff. I understand it's very risky too. Like, when I go to Kickstarter, I usually kickstart stuff that I know I guess I feel like I know they'll get developed. But to me personally, I don't mind if they don't. I mean, it's like, to me, I'm funding someone's attempt to make something, and I think that's the confusion with Kickstarter is people look at it as like a pre-order system. Oh, I want to play this game, I'm going to pre-order it. And it's like, well, you're not doing that. You're actually funding someone's attempt to make, whatever their product or, CD or whatever it is. And it's like, I understand that, but I know a lot of people are not going to, and they're going to freak out when, like this, what is the game called, Clang, happens and stuff. And it's like, I mean, I get they have a right to be upset, and so do investors and publishers when games don't ship, or make money. That's just how it is. And I think, and I don't know how they would ever clear up that message, because like a lot of people treat Kickstarter, as the pre-order system, and that's not what it is.
Right, but I think that's an extremely good point. I hadn't looked at it that way. I mean, I think like in like the core of my brain that knows that, but like the forefront doesn't really acknowledge it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give Brian Fargo $35, and eventually he's going to give me a game.
Yeah.
But I've only funded projects that I am extremely confident in them getting the project done. But when I think that confusion is easily, it's easy to come to that conclusion when the Kickstarter levels say, give us $35 and you'll get a copy of this game. So I mean, like I hate to blame people for thinking like, yes, this is me buying a copy of this game uh, because of the way things are worded.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't, I personally do not. I know they have to do it now, but I do not like the reward tiers, like the way that essentially people have to kickstart. They have to like trick people into spending more money by giving them T-shirts and all this other stuff. You know, it's and yeah, part of the game is one of the things. I mean, it shouldn't be that. You shouldn't, you know, like you're just paying for the game to get developed, not the game itself. But they have to do that, otherwise people won't buy in. You know.
Right, and then that's, I mean, like you said, I think that is very. It is easy to draw the conclusion that I'm pre-ordering this game and I'm going to get a T-shirt.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it just boils down into, you know, like, don't fund something unless you're incredibly confident. Like when Brian Fargo, like that guy could talk to me all day and I would just give him money because he's responsible for games like Fallout and Fallout 2 and the original Wasteland and
Yep.
like I didn't back Tim Schafer's game, but if there was a game that, you know, I would have 100% confidence in it getting done, it would be a game by someone like Tim Schafer.
Well, eventually, remember they went back to the well because they ran out of money.
Oh, did they now?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they ran out of money and they had to do like a second pre-order or like
Come
the first
on.
chapter. It was an early access for the first chapter. That's what it was.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
The way, I mean, like in Clang's case, I guess the way, kind of like that other, there was another game where they ran out of money and they couldn't ship, and all the programmers left, and the guy was just like, I can't do anything with this,
Right.
you know, and
I think that was
those kind of cases.
Cryptic, wasn't it?
What's that?
That was a while ago.
Yeah. In those kind of cases, I think what I would do is I would just release it at where it's at. You know, I would just be like, hey guys, here's as far as we got. Here it is. You know, give it to all the backers who paid for it, and be like, you know, here's your game. It's not what you wanted, but this is as far as I got. I would love to finish it, but I just can't. You know, to me, it's kind of where they go, we're done. You know, and they're probably looking for a publisher, looking for another way to fund it. But it's always like, well, give it to the people where, especially with early access becoming such a huge thing now, just give it to them. Just let them have the sort of, you know, janky game that's kind of broken and not complete, and let them see where it is. And then maybe you get some people that say, hey, I would like to see you finish this. Here's some extra money.
Sure.
You know, you didn't do a good job at estimating the costs originally, you know, so.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Is I think people need to be more aware that they are investing. It might pay off and it might not pay off.
Yeah, because I mean, I think Kickstarter is fantastic. I mean,
absolutely.
You're getting all kinds of stuff that you would never ever see by anyone else. I mean, like, look at the Oculus Rift. Do you think the Oculus Rift would have ever existed by anyone else unless somebody was like, I need to kickstart this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably not. You know, like, all these old franchises that are bringing up, you know, even though I feel that's kind of cheating, like bringing an old franchise back through Kickstarter. It's like, let me use my cred and my buddy's cred and this IP that everyone loves to get money to make a game.
I agree. Let's make a Mega Man that's not named Mega Man.
Yeah, because those people bring this huge influx of people to the platform that is Kickstarter, you get all kinds of other stuff, you know, kickstarted, like tons of board games, tons of video games. You know, I mean, it's a lot harder for a video game, it seems like, that's not an IP or not run by some super famous person.
Oh, well, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, look at Project Eternity. For a while, that had like the Kickstarter record, but like because it helped that it wasn't just a guy, but it was like a company that is still like in business and still like making games, saying we want to make the games that we used to make.
Yeah.
And like the guy they did Fallout and Fallout 2 and Icewind Dale and like all these some of the Planescape Torment, like some of the greatest games that the West had to offer at the time. So it's really easy to dump a bunch of money on them. Plus, they did that whole. I think Project Eternity was like the greatest Kickstarter ever, just because of the corny shit that they did with like the stretch goals, and the more backers we get, the more levels there's going to be to this super dungeon. And they made like a game out of the Kickstarter. It wasn't like just, give us another $75,000 and we'll port it to Linux. It was like, share this and we'll make more parts of the dungeon, and there's going to be strongholds, and so they made like a meta game out of it.
Yeah, see, I don't really get wrapped out into that kind of stuff. I usually I'll check it out, and I'm like, I don't really care what the extended goals are or anything. I just want to see I want the original product. Like, I don't, that's cool that like the Shadowrun they're doing the Berlin campaign. And, like, that's awesome that was a stretch goal and they got to get that. And I've got, got a guy at work that we talked to a lot about this stuff, and he gets really excited about all the stretch goals, and he's like, yeah, he'll even donate more money if he sees that they're close. But for me, it's like, well, how about you ship the first thing, and then I'll give you money for the next thing, right. I felt kind of weird donating money to Massive Chalice after not getting the other thing that they're working on, but Brad Muir is just such a happy dude. I'm like, and I had a game idea like that, or similar to that a while ago, and I'm just like, oh my god, I need to play this game, Yeah. So, and you were just too nice. Here's my money.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've only backed projects that are the only one that's sort of iffy is the Longest Journey one.
Yeah.
Which they've done 2 Longest Journey games already, so I'm not super paranoid that they're not going to get it done. I'm pretty confident they're not going to mismanage the money. They know what they're doing. But
man, I backed a project I might never see. I want the Goon movie to come out, so I kickstarted the animated or the previs script or whatever, and the storyboard script, because that's as far as they're going to get, and they want to try to get studios behind it, because they're essentially going to have the whole movie recorded, and Blur Studios is going to do it, and I think the Goon is a fantastic comic property. But we'll see. I might never see that movie.
Right on. Wasteland 2, the beta's coming out sometime in the next couple of weeks, so I don't recall if I backed to that level, but I hadn't looked at it in like a year. I kind of just let it sit and didn't really read much into the updates, and they went dark for a long time. Like, I think I think Project Eternity really set the bar for how that should be done. Like, they had weekly updates for like a year, pretty much. Like, every Tuesday at midnight, like, an update went out. Mm-hmm. And eventually they're like, okay, we're too busy, it's going to be a few weeks. But just the community and the openness and the transparency that Obsidian had with that project, and the goofy stuff they did with the actual campaign, just kind of like, everything else has been kind of underwhelming since then. But I got back to Wasteland 2. I hadn't looked at it, and I watched a couple gameplay videos in the last couple weeks, and I'm pretty impressed. I'm actually really looking forward to how that is all gonna pan out and how it's gonna play, and it looks like it's gonna be a ton of fun.
Oh, I'm excited to play it. Yeah, I mean, with them going dark, I completely understand why that happens.
Like, for sure.
A lot of work to put an update together. You gotta go get art and do all this other stuff. I mean, I understand that. I really like what Massive Chalice has been doing. So they just have a blog put together.
Let me pull this up here so I can see what you're talking about. I mean, a lot of them are taken to Tumblr.
Yep, that's essentially what they have. This is MassiveChalice.com. I mean, it's really just a Tumblr, and they just kind of put up updates like all the time. I mean, not all the time, but I see them show up every once in a while.
Fairly regularly.
fairly like here's a photo of what doing, and it seems like they do a team stream every Friday where the team just gets together and they kind of talk about what they're working on and all this other stuff and a specific thing, which is like to me seems like a lifesaver. Like set a webcam up, let people talk for an hour, and then just leave it at that. Answer a couple of questions, then you don't have to write a huge thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like I'm faulting anyone that doesn't have weekly updates, but it just I think from a again, it doesn't bother me. Like I understand what goes into the development process, and I've worked with you and a few other folks on games, and it's I get it. Like I put in my quality assurance time, but it's just nice to see what they're thinking periodically. And I can understand, if people would get nervous when they're like, I haven't heard from these guys for 8 months. Like, is anything happening on this? They like to see what their money's working on, and I can appreciate both ends of the spectrum, but it's nice to hear. And oh God, what's his name? The guy from Project Eternity. Josh Sawyer is hilarious. He's just a really goofy guy, and it's fun to listen to him ramble on. But yeah, I mean, playing Baldur's Gate has gotten me really excited for Project Eternity and kind of Torment, the other kind of old school Infinity Engine style game. I mean, like. I'm on a monk kick for some reason. Like any game where I can make a monk, I'm making a monk. I'm not sure why. And I tried to make a monk in this Baldur's Gate Enhanced, and I'm not sure why I had dreams of grandeur and like Diablo 3 karate kicks and 1,000 blow punches and all this other stuff. It's essentially the unarmed punch and kick that was in the original Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
That's not super satisfying from a I want to punch and kick guys for 30 hours type way. So I'm really hoping that that style of game is really fun and enjoyable, and just like with the modern graphics and things like that, I'm hoping that they can make, because they have a hand-to-hand class in this Project Eternity, and I'm really hoping that they kind of jazz it up and make it flourish, make it really nice, like the Diablo. Like I installed Diablo 3 the other day and just punched stuff with my monk for 5 or 10 minutes just to like that, because that was fun. Like say what you will about Diablo 3 and the classes and the loot system, and yeah, there was a lot of things wrong with it, but holy crap, those monk skills were fun as hell.
Diablo 3 is still a super polished game. Like
it is. I mean, if it was anything, if it was named anything but Diablo 3, it would have been 9.5 out of 10. Just everyone would have loved it, but it kind of shot itself in the foot. But holy crap, those monk animations are fun. So yeah, I'm not sure why I'm on a monk kick, but
sometimes you just gotta be a monk.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta.
The D&D campaign I play with some guys from work, I'm a monk in that. After playing the monk in Diablo 3, I was like, yeah, I need to punch stuff.
Yeah, just. And like that is like in a Dungeons and Dragons setting, that is the most miserable class to play, because you got nothing until you're like level 8. Like you're wearing robes barely. It's just it's a bit of a fiasco until you get to some higher levels. So I think that is all I have to say about Kickstarter right now. I think I'm going to take a look at this Massive Chalice stuff a little bit more. It's looking pretty interesting. I didn't back it. I haven't backed anything since the Longest Journey stuff and Numenera. But
yeah, that was the last project I backed.
I know a few other ones that, oh God, what's it called? The Long Dark or something like that. Rock Paper Shotgun and Giant Bomb been talking about. It's like a survival simulation up in the mountains or something. The name escapes me, but I know that just barely made its Kickstarter goal with like 2 or 3 days left.
Oh, nice.
it's like a smattering of developers from various studios. Oh man, what is it called? Shoot, I forget. I don't have the patience to look it up right now, but. And then, I mean, at some point we should probably talk about that Star Citizen game because that is making millions on a daily basis. They hit 21 million the other day, and so I mean, just I'm about ready to throw my money into that pot too, just to be a part of something.
Don't leave me out.
Yeah, right. Because if he delivers on everything that he's saying, it's going to be something else.
Well, it's gonna be piecemeal, right? So it'll be.
Yeah, it's how you should if you haven't yet, you should read the article on Gamasutra about it. It's a couple weeks old now, but he's doing it a really crazy way, and if it all plugs in together, it's gonna be freaking amazing. But he kind of because he was with Richard Garriott at Origins, a bajillion years ago.
Yeah.
So he talks about that, and it's a really good interview / write-up. So check that out if you haven't yet. It's really good.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a look. I'm interested in that game, but I am going to wait until it comes out. I mean, it's awesome for like the super space nuts. I watched a guy do a walkthrough. There's a guy that I watch. He does a lot of EVE online stuff, and he's pretty good. He's an excitable narrator, so he's really good when he's watching the big EVE battles and he's getting all jazzed and gets this big nerdgasm about like different ships in there. So like watching him go through everything, he like just his excitement got me excited. I was like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah, you're excited about this ship, so I'm excited,
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it's like I'd load it up, I'd walk around for about a minute, and be like, oh, okay.
And I think that's kind of what he wants to do. There's more about it in that article, but he's like, yeah, he didn't really want to do that, but he's like, yeah, I mean, people want to see where their money's going, so I mean, it's just a ship, it's a hangar. Like,
it kind of makes sense, right? Like, in actual production, you have to send builds, right? You have first playable, you've got alpha, beta, milestones in between. Like, let people have the milestones. Like, I would love to just kickstart a game on my own sometime, and I have ideas of how I would do things and all this other stuff, but it's like one thing that I would do is be like, we would set milestones, everyone would see when they are, they'd see what's going in there, and it'd be like, okay, just be like a public Google spreadsheet, like, hey, check this out. Anyone can look at it, and then we would just send those out. We'd be like, yeah, here's the first level, super broken, like, you can't do anything in it, but it's there, and you can, and it makes sense, because then, like, people get to see the production of the game. They get to see, like, I feel a lot of people don't get to see all the craziness. They don't get to see the part where, like, well, okay, why is this camera clipping through this, and why is the sword on my guy's hand upside down, and my super temp animation, the elbow is going backwards, like, they don't get to see how ugly games are when they're started. And I think that would be a really fascinating experiment, and I absolutely applaud Chris Roberts for doing that with his thing,
Yeah, for sure. It's very modular at this point. Like, he has different teams working on, because it's going to have like a first-person aspect, and there's all kinds of bonker stuff that they're doing.
I know. He said first-person combat. I'm like, next thing you know, there'll be, and then you can take over a city and manage it. And
yeah, they've said that they might even, like, I think the $21 million stretch goal was salvaging is like a legitimate career path that you can take. It's not just like a side skill at this point. And there's going to be like your career in this game will be to search around and find things and sell them to people.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
If they can make that like a legit like way to do things where you're not just going to get shit on by everyone who's not a scavenger, then that would be like, if you could actually make a name for yourself, not necessarily a name, but if you can make a game out of that, fucking yeah, man, I'm down.
Oh yeah, I'm all for games where I don't have to fight things.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued, and someday, I would like to kind of poke around and see what all the fuss is about. But
awesome.
I think that will about do it. for this week. I don't necessarily have a schedule at all set up for next week, so we'll kind of play that by ear. Unfortunately, Kevo did not make it. Hopefully he can get in on this at some point because I'm sure he'll have something to say about something. But
Well, that's good. Better
yeah.
has nothing to say about nothing. You
Be
know.
pretty boring. We might not get video of him. It might just be audio. I'm not sure if you can even do that. But we'll have to experiment with that. So with that, I'm going to call it a night, Billy. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Later.
Later.